Welcome to VBKai's podcast. Today, we're going to explore a very special topic, hitting rock bottom, depression, anxiety, and feeling out of control. Depression, anxiety, and feeling out of control can be big challenges in life, but not. Everyone hits rock bottom, bounces back right away. Let's listen to how we deal with these emotions and how we can gradually get out of the darkness. Let's get started. Not everyone hits rock bottom, bounces back right away, and people have to lie there for a while to learn how to breathe again. For a long time, I lived like a shadow. Everything looks fine on the outside. I was still working, still talking and laughing, still interacting with people as if nothing had happened. But inside me, there was a bottomless void. I used to think, depression is a thing for weak people. I'm strong. I can't be like that. But then one day, I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. I didn't want to open my eyes. Didn't want to face the light. The noise. The text messages on my phone. I started to fear everything, including myself. No one could see it because I was still fine. Still answering questions, still going to work, still eating with my family. But inside me, a silent war, a battle with my own mind. Every day, every hour, every minute. I don't know exactly when I started to fall into that state. Maybe it was when Dad died. Maybe it was after a series of traumas. I couldn't proceed. The emotions just built up, little by little, until they overflowed and consumed me. Used to ask, why do I feel this way? I have everything. Family, job, friends. But those questions make me feel guilty. I blame myself for not being grateful enough, force myself to be happy, to be positive. But the more I forced myself, the more exhausted I became. There are days light gives me headache, sound makes my heart skip. A beata text message makes me want to throw my phone. I'm afraid to face anything. Even my self-doubts passing may have been beginning, but the chain of collapse within me continues. Like a domino effect, I began to lose my way, no longer saw meaning in life and relationships, or even in my own existence. Every day that passed, I felt like I was lost in a thick fog, constantly tired, both physically and mentally. I no longer knew who I was, where I was going, or what I was living for. My mind was filled with a dark fog of confusion, fear, and negative thoughts. Why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? Why can't anyone see that I'm dying inside? There are nights when I scream in my head, but no sound comes out. My emotions are like a silent storm, destroying everything. But no one sees. I can't control myself anymore. I'm afraid I'll do something stupid, not because I want to die, but because I don't know how to live anymore. This exhaustion didn't come in a day. It quietly accumulates, little by little, until my soul was covered with wounds. Ba's death was more than a loss. It was a catalyst, setting off a chain of crises that lasted for years. From the moment my father suddenly passed away, my inner world collapsed. I lost my support, lost my direction, and gradually lost myself. The pain at first seemed like just a passing storm, but then it refused to go away. It followed me for many years. Not loudly, but smoldering and exhausting. I don't understand who I am anymore. I'm afraid of silence, but also afraid of people getting close. I go through a series of jobs, relationships, then fall into emptiness. It's as if there is an invisible force pulling me away from everything stable. People say I'm difficult to understand, but I just see myself trying to survive in a dark place with no way out. I began to change, but not in the way anyone expected. I became easily angry, often snapping at those closest to me. Sometimes while having a normal conversation, I suddenly burst into tears. Emotions were like a flood that broke its banks. Nothing can control. I no longer recognize myself. I fell into a state of confusion, standing between life and death. It was not a choice to commit suicide, but a feeling of being completely drained of life. No more goals, no more motivation. Every morning was a battle. with my body, my mind, and the morning light I didn't know who. To explain Tono one stayed long enough to understand what I was going through. The more I tried to act okay, the more I fell apart one day. I looked in the mirror, and I didn't see myself anymore. I lost control, not just of my emotions, but of myself. I knew I needed help, but I didn't know where to start. And then from that very bottom, I started to learn again how to live, how to breathe, how to listen to myself. I started to feel like my body was no longer mine. My head was pounding, not just once, but almost every day. I abused painkillers just to get through the working hours, but the more I took, the more tired I became. My memory was fading. There were moments I couldn't remember what I was doing 5 minutes ago. I couldn't settle down to work. I changed jobs 3 or 4 times a year, not because I didn't try, but because wherever I was, I couldn't stay. I tried many things, visited hospitals, big and small, saw a psychiatrist, tried spiritual healing, learned meditation, but even when I sat down, my head was in chaos. That voice kept bothering me, not letting me be at peace. I quickly connected with people, but I quickly left. Everything fell apart as if it had never existed. My life had no end, no attachment, no support. My family gradually drifted away, not because they didn't love me, but because they didn't understand me. It was too erratic sometimes. I laughed sometimes. I was terrifyingly silent. Everyone was tired and I was helpless. I asked myself, am I cursed? Is the whole world against me? I don't know. All I know is every time I try to get up, something is pulling me down, and then I understand it's not an outside force, it's a pain that hasn't healed. I feel like there's an invisible glass between me and the world. I can see everything. I can hear everything, but I can't touch anyone. I live among people and still feel lonely. Loneliness isn't a lack of people, it's a lack of understanding. I'm like a child, lost in my own home. The most painful thing is not understanding yourself. When everything around me falls, I fall too, with nothing to hold on to, with no one to fight for. I've hit rock bottom, literally. And in that moment, I started to ask, who am I when no one expects me? If I don't have to please anyone, what do I have left? Do I deserve to live just for being me? Those questions scared me because for years, I lived in many roles: a child, a friend, a colleague, never asking, who am I really beyond the labels? I realized I never lived for myself. I just existed, chasing expectations, called it life, until it all collapsed and I was forced to turn inward. At first, confused, empty, without goals, without motivation, but gradually, from the silence, a small voice spoke. As long as I breathe, I am still valuable. I don't need to be anyone's pride. I am still worthy of living. I started with the little things. I cleaned my room, not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't stand the feeling of suffocation. Then I made tea, sit by the window, listened to the birdsong I used to ignore. I wrote down 3 things I was grateful for every day. Some days it was just I ate on time, but even that, a glimmer of light in the darkness. I stopped waiting for someone to save me, learned to hold my own hand like a lost child in need of warmth. I studied psychology, learned about childhood trauma, started journaling, not to be good, but to understand myself. I meditated just 1 minute a day, reading books, spending less time on social media, more time with trees and the sky. Coming back to yourself is not a destination, it's a journey, and that journey begins with a choice every day. Choose to stay, choose to continue, choose to believe. I, though imperfect, though broken, am worthy of love. After all the falls, I realized if I don't want to sink deeper, I have to find a way to rise now. One can save me except myself. The journey hasn't been easy, but it has given me something, a feeling of taking back my life, bit by bit. If you're at rock bottom, it's okay, really, it's okay. I know that place where everything seems normal on the outside, but inside, you're broken. No motivation, no light, just silence and coldness have been there. And I know you don't need advice, you don't need someone to fix you, you just need someone to be there, to stay, to breathe with you will be that person here with you sharing. Stories speaking the truth, not letting you feel alone when you're ready to lift your head, even if just for a little while. Still here to look up to the sky with you and believe that you're still worthy of living, that you can start over from your heart. And that's what we want to share in today's episode. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to VBKai Lab so you don't miss the next healing stories. Remember, even when you hit rock bottom, there's always a next step and you're never alone. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Sending you a sky full of love.